All right. Welcome to the Rocket Launcher Podcast, episode 140. I am your host, Supreme King, and join with me as always is my co-host, and his name is
It's your guy Omezis.
actually, you know what? I should probably start off with the game shows like their schedule to start. Um just to give people a perspective. So next week will be like right in the middle of it. So we're actually not going to record. We're going to come back the very next week after that. And I think the bigger shows we could probably give 15 minutes to each one, and the smaller ones let's just try to stick around 7 minutes, and whatever your biggest highlight is, and then that should cover it. But there should be like there's a big amount of shows that are coming up for all of June, starting in June 4th, I believe. Well, actually, according to this, a couple of them have already passed. So we're going to probably dig a couple shows in the past and watch some of these, and then watch the rest of them, and then come back and we'll give you our thoughts. But for everybody else, why don't you just Google real quick the 2025 Summer Showcase schedule. And then Game Informer, of all places, shout out to Game Informer, they put up this this list. So it should be on their website, and that should come up, and you'll see a whole bunch of different game shows, and a couple of them that has already passed that we'll circle back to. One of them was called the Tiny Build Connect. It has a bunch of different games on here. It looks like it says this was on May 27th. And you can watch it on YouTube. It has a link to it. They have game reveals and demos and some gameplay. So check that out. On May 29th, they had a show called Thinky Direct. I don't know too much about it, but it looks like it's games centered around puzzles. And so that already passed. On May 29th, there was a game called, or a show called Indie Quest. So you can go ahead and check that out already. And it looks like just yesterday, as of this recording, they had a Horror Games Awards Summer Showcase. All of this can be found on YouTube, but just look at the Summer Showcase schedule. And then the very next thing that's coming up on June 3rd is the Best Indie Games Summer Showcase. And that is also all on YouTube. And then the Guerrilla Collective is going to team up with Mix Summer Game Showcase and do one big show. This is going to be also on YouTube. And let me see, what's the date on this? This is also June 3rd, so both of those are on June 3rd. What is June 3rd? That's Tuesday?
Okay.
Yeah, Tuesday. So these shows start as early as Tuesday. What did I say before? Thursday? So Tuesday is it's all week, because I know it goes out till Sunday, and then we might have a couple after shows the following Monday. But I guess as early as Tuesday. So on June 4th, there's a showcase called Shack News E4 Indie Showcase that will reveal over 20 titles. Now, some of these are new. I don't remember these from the year before. So everybody's throwing their name in the hat. So it's going to be a lot of games. Hopefully everybody can get a big list on, and maybe you can start buying throughout the holiday season or something. And then we have my co-host's favorite show, the Accessibility Showcase. Also,
Absolutely.
well, actually, that one's on June 6th.
So exciting.
When is June 6th? Let me look. That's a Friday. So that's Friday. The bigger show later on that evening, also on Friday, is going to be the Summer Games Fest. That one is the Jeff Keighley show. So you're going to actually see some world premieres of bigger games, bigger names and everything, bigger franchises. And then later on that day, we're going to have a show probably directly after the Summer Game Showcase is called Day of the Devs, which I don't think there's going to be any newer games with this. I think it's more just talking to developers from the Summer Game Showcase itself. This is all on June 6th, so that's a big Friday for everybody. June 7th, which is going to be that Saturday, we have the Wholesome Direct 2025. I do remember the Wholesome Direct. And so that one's going to be on Saturday, followed by the Women-Led Games Summer Showcase Fest Edition, also on the same day, June 7th. And then later on is a bigger showcase on that day, the Latin American Games Showcase. And actually, right after that, Southeast Asia, throwing their names in the hat. So Southeast Asian Games Showcase is going to happen right after that. And then boom, right after that, the Future Games Show Summer Showcase. One of my favorites is a lot of PC titles and stuff come from this. This is all on June 7th. Very big, long Saturday. Okay, so that's like 5 different shows there. On June 8th, actually, you know what? I think this is still... No, this is June 8th. Okay. We have... So, this is the Sunday, which is going to be one of the closing days. The Frosty Games Showcase. And they have a big old, like, snow cone holding a controller, some sort of mascot. And they're promising 50 plus games. Now this is Sunday, and this is right around the Xbox show that's going to be happening the same day, and also the PC gaming show all on Sunday is going to be happening. And then on the PC gaming show itself, they're also promising 50 game titles. So 50 games from this Frosty Game Showcase, and then 50 games from the PC game showcase. And then if that ain't enough for you, then we go into the Xbox game showcase that is also having Outer Worlds 2 Direct. That's all in one. And so all of this is on June 8th. So just between June 8th and June 7th alone, Saturday and Sunday, you're looking at like 8 shows. Quite literally, in 2 days. June 11th, it looks like this is the last thing from what I can see, which is interesting. That is on next. So after that Sunday, the following 2-3 days later on a Wednesday. So in the middle of the week, they're going to do the Upload VR Summer Showcase. So this is a VR Summer Showcase. And so I guess that says it's happening at 10 a.m. or 1 p.m. Eastern time. So all of these shows are all on YouTube. A couple of them say they have Twitch links. But YouTube is probably going to be your best bet because you can get all the replays and stuff. If I look at this, this looks like it's more shows than ever before. I think we're pushing quite literally like 15 plus shows here. And then some of them are already passed that I've already missed. And I think we even got a show that we were going to talk about today, actually. That's not on this list. Interesting enough, in the middle of all of that is still going to be the launch of Nintendo Switch 2. No information on a Switch Direct, but I know people were expecting them to do one to announce their like fall games or whatever, or their holiday games, and I expect them to do it, but no Nintendo announced here officially. And then obviously as well, no PlayStation announcement. PlayStation usually is about a month late, sometimes a month and a half, and they'll say something around late July, early August. So I expect them to have a show probably around then. Nintendo, it's a little tricky. I mean, they're just coming out with their system, which is cool in itself. So you have 15 something game shows and then a whole new game system coming out, and I actually expect I'm gonna be looking out for the play date to come out with some sort of thing, because they usually do something that for whatever reason just doesn't make a headline. And yeah, man, it's a big week for gaming. It's like the Super Bowl, the NBA finals of video games. Because at the end of the year they'll have the award show, which is a cool thing in itself, but it's not 15 plus shows. With all different things, all different walks of life, all different genres and double A, triple A, whatever. It'll be really, really nice to see all this stuff. But yeah, I just want to reiterate, we will not be here the next week. We're going to take a little bit of time off to try to consume as much of this and understand what's good, what's bad, all of that. We're going to come back. We're going to give 15 minutes to the bigger ones, 7 minutes to the smaller ones. And I encourage everyone to definitely watch as many of these shows as you can and wish list as much stuff as you can and support some of these developers. But my co-host, are you excited about there being even more shows than ever before?
No, I'm excited for the Outer Worlds show because I really liked the first game a lot. Like I've been waiting to hear news for the second, but I didn't want it to get to a case where like they drip feed information that is not coming out for a long time. So I'm hoping with them doing a direct, that means it should be soon. Ready to go. I hope it's not like here's the direct and we'll see you in 4 years. Of course, there's a lot of little mini shows that it's just like I don't really care. I'll care even less too if this is gonna happen. Some of the games are gonna repeat. So it'll be like on one show and then be on another show. And at that
if you
point,
start saying something like 50 plus, I mean, it is bound to repeat within the same show. 50 plus.
I'd rather them communicate a little bit and just make sure each show got different games. Like rather than having to see the same ones over and over.
You know what's interesting though? If you're talking 15 plus shows, it would be so much more easier for the consumers if it was 1 to 2 shows a month, and they just these people gonna have their show here, these people have their show here. You know what I mean? Because you're talking 15, that's easily once a month is consumable for a consumer, because you already gonna have like your big game that you're probably looking forward to release, and then a game that you're probably looking forward to come out sometime in the future, and then a show to just inform you about a bunch of stuff in between. And it's like that, it stretches it out perfectly for you. But 15 in like 5-6 days is kind of crazy to me.
And again, I would rather them not repeat, because I think it would be better if they're gonna do those mini shows, have them all be the same things. For example, like how you said that one that was about all pretty much puzzle games, essentially, because it was like based off of the name, you could tell it's about just thinking. Right. If someone's not into puzzle games, just don't watch that show, right? Like, someone's not into horror games, don't watch the horror game award. Like, so if it was broken down like that to me would actually even be better, because you can just focus on genres you're gonna like, or you can avoid the ones you don't. When instead it's just like this game show and it's just this wide variety, which is cool. But if you're gonna have 15 shows and 8 of them are wide variety, then it's too much, right? Versus if it was 15 shows and only 2 of them are wide variety and the rest are all very single focus on this is a whole fighting game show. All right, well, I'm not going to be getting any of the fighting games. So then I just wouldn't watch that show. Like, it would work better, I think, also for the consumer.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I think that they do themselves a very big disservice overall. Even with the one show, like a show that's promising 50 plus titles, it's like you're gonna take at least 40 out of the 50 and might as well just take them, throw them right in the trash. And it has nothing to do with if the game was bad. It's just, I think it's too much for one person to just digest. You know what I mean? Because I think by the time you even get to 30 games in, you're a little overstimulated. You know what I mean? You're just kind of, it's too much coming in. Because even with me, I look forward to these shows like this because I burn through them very fast because I play. Well, I might have a handheld in my hand, but I watch 3 shows at a time on 3 different screens, and I have like the stuff that I write down and stuff all laid out. And when one show is like actually showing me something I want to see, I might pause the other two, or I might just let them run, and just like focus on one screen at a time, and then I'll write it all down. And then before you know it, I've taken out 3 shows, and it's not, that time consuming for me. But not everybody is going to approach it that way, like, or even know. It's like, yo, that's too much. Like, you remember the people out here can't sit still for 10 minutes,
True.
right? For a regular
Also,
YouTube video. So,
I was gonna say also keep in mind sometimes like when some of these smaller shows go, hey, all right, here's our like 5 minute rapid fire, right? And if all of them hit a rapid fire at the same time, right, that can be if you weren't ready and you don't feel like pausing, then you're just gonna be missing stuff, and there's a lot.
yeah, I don't know why they keep doing it this way. Maybe they think they get the most attention out of it. Like, usually when you say summer showcase, you kind of only want to see like 3 or 4. You don't even want to see that
Yeah.
many. And I remember telling people about the summer showcases last year, and they told me they would just look at clips on TikTok, and it kind of cringed me because it's like clips on TikTok. Like, you're
Well, yeah,
not
I mean
even
that
gonna
is just your
see
new place,
anything.
but again you're just watching clips of like the things you want to see. You're not watching everything, and that's
Yeah,
there's too
I
many.
I think they just do themselves a little bit of a disservice sometimes. It is what it is because they absolutely double down this year. Because I'm looking at it like, who is that and who is this? Interesting enough though, I didn't see no Capcom. I didn't see no Ubisoft showcase. Um, Gearbox didn't say they were doing one. So some of the bigger names, they didn't really show up here on their own. So they probably are going to be a part of Jeff Keighley's show, the Xbox show. And we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it is what it is. I do want to transition though. Let's go ahead and transition to Borderlands 4 real quick because I just mentioned Gearbox. I think it's kind of funny the situation that they put themselves in. Um,
Not even they, just Randy. It's
yeah.
Randy's fault. He needs to get off of social media. That's the short version of it. So basically, a fan was like, "Yo, is it about to cost $80?" And it's a simple yes or no, or even an I don't know yet. But his response instead was basically like, "It might, but I know our true fans will find a way to just get it." Is how he put it. So everybody got upset. It's like, what do you mean by true fans? Like, are you saying if someone can't drop the 80 or don't want to drop the 80 on day one, then they're not a fan of the series? So one of the Baldur's Gate 3 devs even called it gross and was just like, so you're saying your game is more important than making it day to day by saying they'll find a way to do it. It's just that phrasing. And then somebody was like, well, if your game came out now, would it have cost 80? And he's like, I don't know, but we're not going to say our true fans would find a way. Like, and I think based off of a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 actions from when the game released, I believe that. Like, if they had to drop at 80, they would have dropped it at 80. But again, remember, they would have also had all of that, like, support. Like, the support that they put into the game is what
Hmm.
every other company would have called DLC. Like, they added 12 subclasses, like, the quality of life fixes. They kept making it to where it's like you want to do another playthrough, and all of it was free. They didn't charge for any DLC. So I believe him when he says like we wouldn't say it like that. Like that's messed up. So then later, Randy apologized in a long post, basically saying there was a misunderstanding. And it's like, no, he would never mean like make yourself uncomfortable. And I don't want anyone to pay more than they should. And then, which will tie in later with Tiny Tina, uh, being on Epic, he decided to tweet that and was like, "Hey, for our real fans who are cost sensitive, the awesome video game Tiny Tina's is free on Epic. There you go." And everybody's like, "There you go again with this real fan." It's like, shut up! Just get off of social media. Stop saying real fan. Stop trying to fix it. Like you already messed up. People are already mad at you. Like. It's not probably going to affect sales. People are going to get over it, but they're not going to get over it if you keep dropping the word to try and clear it. Like, you're just digging a deeper hole. Just leave the phrase alone. Like, you said your apology. People are going to take it for what it is. I don't think there's anyone who's just like, I can't believe you said that I'm boycotting Borderlands. Like, no one's that. They're just like, dude, like, that's messed up how you put it. Or other people just don't care. But, like, he keeps bringing it back up.
But are you a real fan, man? Do you
I
feel
guess
like
not,
you're a
because
real
I ain't
fan?
dropping 80. And we ain't buying none of the Borderlands games at release. And I ain't buying this one at release. Like, it's also weird to me that he even admitted that it was smaller scale. It doesn't connect to the previous ones to that big of a degree because it's a jumping in point, right? Number 4 is a jumping in point for new players. But they also said it was a little more linear. And then it's like, and it's going to cost more. Haha. But, yeah, he just needs to just... He could have... None of this would have blew up if he would have just said, yeah, probably. Like, that's all he would have had to say. Like, is it going to cost 80? Probably. We're following market trends. Right? Then the argument would have just been about games costing 80, not him.
Yeah. I think I do think the important takeaway is that the other companies are most likely following suit. That is not a first party only thing. That definitely the third party developers will be in the same price point. I do
With that...
I just wanted to make a quick while I'm thinking about it. PlayStation was the one company out of the console making companies that didn't change the price yet. I do expect them to change it after, I think, June 12th. I think Epic's, just before we went on air, I mentioned Epic was going to have like their summer mega sale thing that's until June 12th. I think that date, they may have done that to line up with PlayStation's, I think what they called Day of something. I forgot what they called their sale.
Days of play.
Days of Play, that's probably what it is. Yeah, and then they have a bunch of stuff on their thing that they're going to have on sale. And I'll probably get to that later actually when we go to that spot, but
What I was going to say is that...
afterwards, yeah, I'm sorry. I was just going to say after that is done, I think that's when they're going to announce their price hike. Actually, so if anybody wants any of that stuff, you probably should hop on it right now. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
That in this space where a lot of the AAA people are deciding, we're just going to go 80, there's been a chunk of reports in AA or indies that have been saying, you know what, there's space for them to go 80 and for us to stay 50 and 60. So it seems like a lot of the, like, because they're in there, I think what indie developers and what like your AA developers and everything are noticing is, the people arguing like, 80, and then it got the fans going back and forth about it. But then the games that are being successful are like Claire Obscure, Oblivion, Baldur's Gate 3, like the ones that are making money, like the thing that, of course, the indie team would care about, right? We want our fans to be happy and we want to be able to make a profit off of all the hard work we're doing. And the profit is coming from like the $60 games. I think one of the biggest comparisons right now, and not to like go in on the game or anything like that, but when you compare Claire Obscure with Doom the Dark Ages, and a lot of people were like, well, people didn't put in money to Doom the Dark Ages because it's on Game Pass, and everybody's like, so is Claire Obscure. That still made a bunch of money and sold a bunch of copies, right? So there is that like comparison to like, hey, your game has a, like, if it's not super well known, or it's not one of the like super highly anticipated games, people are going to give it more attention at 60. And then even highly anticipated or like well-known games, there's no guarantee they're going to be successful, like Doom the Dark Ages, which I think is doing okay. But last I saw stuff, people were posting that it's like not doing as well as projected.
Yeah, Claire and Doom pretty much launched the same way, but there's a clear difference between one and the other. There's nothing really to take away from Doom. Doom is still pretty nice. It's just it's not doing the numbers that I think they were probably looking for. I will probably speak on Doom in a second, but so yeah, Borderlands 4, Tiny Tina is a game that's given out right now. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Borderlands, the $80 thing is kind of funny to me. Because I don't think that a lot of people is going to gravitate towards this. They were already not gravitating towards $70. And when we look at the history of Borderland games being given away on Epic, this lines up a little too well. Where I can imagine some people might, me included, might actually wait for Epic for Borderlands, because Borderlands 4, just like Borderlands 3, Tiny Tina, has been given away on Epic. And even outside of that, those games really lost their value very fast. Borderlands 3, when I got it, I think it was like $10, and it was $10 on multiple Black Fridays for a while. So, yeah, it's not a bad game. It's still pretty fun, but I don't think the franchise can really demand that kind of money like if there was Rockstar or something. They just can't. And then political ish statements really don't help either. So it is what it is. Let's jump to PlayStation real quick. I think PlayStation, we're not hearing as much from them as we probably would want to, but when they do come out, there's usually something negative that comes out with them. I've said that in the past, unfortunately, but I guess the PlayStation loyalty program is actually going away. I didn't really use it, but yeah, the Stars program is going away. If you've earned some points and stuff already, you need to use them by November 3rd, 2026, apparently. And you will stop earning them, I believe this July 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know what the significance of these dates are, but yeah, that's what's happening. Have you used this program at all?
Nope. So, I'll occasionally get notifications like, "Hey, you completed your campaign for playing a game at the start of the month or something." But a lot of times, like the stuff that they want, like you have to do a lot of things to get enough points to even get some sort of sale off of it for anything. And then even then, a lot of times their campaigns for you to get points are directly related to fresh releases. Like it was like one where I think Spider-Man 2 had just come out, and like for a week you can get like all these points if you were like beating it by then or something like that, or you had to do certain things within the game, and it was just like, well, if I haven't got the game yet, like there's nothing I could do. So a lot of the good point stuff is tied to fresh releases. And then other than that, you get like random little digital art. Like I got like a picture of a T-Rex because I beat or because I played something in like February. So it was just like, okay, like this does nothing for me. I always forget stars is a thing until like I get that little notification. There's like I did something. So yeah, they just need to do better. They
I
still
got
keep even arguing that they don't think something like Game Pass is sustainable, even though it's been proven that it already is. Like they keep going, oh, it's just gonna hurt the devs if we do something like that. Like they're just stingy and they don't want to do it, and they need to stop trying to come up with a reason why and just be like, we're stingy, we don't want to do it.
Yeah, I Game Pass is hot right now. I'm gonna talk about that later, but the loyalty program, I didn't necessarily intend to try to use it. I only just had it, I guess, by default. But I don't even know exactly how many like points or whatever I have at all, and I think it's just gonna quietly go in the background for me, and I'm not even gonna know. But yeah, it's pretty much over with. It is what it is. I do think it's kind of crazy though, because the thought process is like, well, now you don't want to show any type of, credit or something, loyalty towards your fan base. You just letting it go. You know what I mean? Um, And I think every company, especially at the size that they're at, should have some sort of program. But I guess they're just not making enough money. That's just the end of it. They're just not making no money. Which is a head scratcher in itself. But I do think part of the reason is the second part of this topic, which I think is still hilarious. Bungie, it's a topic that we should have covered a while ago. We just kind of didn't. But Marathon, there was like a whole bunch of plagiarism going on with this Marathon game, with artwork and stuff being in the background that belonged to an artist, and they didn't take the signature of the artist out, and it was just like plastered in the game. And they're gonna get sued or something for that, I'm sure. Little things like that is just the downfall of this game and this company is crazy. But Marathon is. Say it again.
Sorry, I have a real quick side note before we go too far away from the topic, then get back to Marathon. So I did, just because you said, I barely look at it. So I looked at mine for the stars, and I finally got like 3,000 points, like 3,700 points.
Mm-hmm.
Squirrel. Remember that game Squirrel with a gun? Where you're just a squirrel, and you have a gun and you're running? That's only 2,500 points. I can get the full game.
Do we know how long that is? Is that like a meme type thing?
Probably, but I
kind of feel like it would be. But yeah, I remember the joke of it before. But yeah, maybe you want to get on that as soon as you can, I guess.
It is a 5.5 hour game.
Yeah, so that'll probably last 1 or 2 sessions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for free though.
So, yeah, Bungie's Marathon may be dead on arrival. It's kind of crazy to say that. It didn't look too appealing before. I just was like, okay, it's just another shooter. Hopefully it'll be fun. But the plagiarism thing is really a crazy thing in itself, because it's just like a company, that size and that affiliated with like other big companies with big names, you would think they would not need to do something like that. You hire all these people, they're sitting there. If you got a group of people just sitting there, you guys can't just make graffiti for the walls and stuff. You can't do that. Like nobody can collectively come together. Like even with a group as small as like Expedition 33, which is like just over 30 people or something, like they were able to create their art and create their story. And you don't hear anything about plagiarism with them. And Bungie is supposed to be a company that was bought for like $3 billion. You would think they would be able to afford like real artists. I don't know. It's such a mind-blowing thing, the things we have to deal with this generation with video games, period. But it is what it is. We could probably move forward. 2 quick newses. I actually wanted to give some light to the emulation scene real quick. Do you remember the game, not game, but the device called the Mayu Mini? Mayu Mini Plus is the one that I have. But there was one that was a smaller version, Mayu Mini, that was like really, really could fit in the palm of your hand, and like you could just really put it in your pocket and it'll play all the same games, but the game screen was like really tiny. It was extremely popular. One of the first little mini Game Boy devices that came out. Well, apparently it's being discontinued. And so you'll probably just have to find one out in the wild. And you may not even be able to get it fixed if you ever needed to get fixed, unless you follow some third-party YouTube tutorial kind of thing. But it's like an end of an era for that thing. And I actually thought it was a pretty cool device, but it's pretty much over with now. And that's being discontinued. On the Ambernic side of things, they have their device, the RG35XX, that they're amplifying. So they have a what they call a 35XX Pro. And the biggest difference is that in the device itself, it has joysticks instead of not having joysticks, which is similar to the 40XX screen. But it has two joysticks, one for the left and the right thumbstick. But I do think the games that you can play on it is like still relatively small. Older games that's not even like a Dreamcast and that kind of thing. But yeah, these devices are still here. Even when one is going away completely, another one is taking its place. And that is still going and going. As far as me, I still have the Mayu Mini Plus. I think that is such a fantastic little machine. And then I have the RG40 XXV, V for vertical, which I also think is a fantastic machine in itself. That's the one that's a little bit bigger with an actual joystick. Weren't you mentioning you were going to play something new on there or something like a classic game on there at some point?
Trigger.
Say it again because you cut out.
Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger?
Yeah, a lot of people have been waiting for that to be remade. It's considered like one of the best like JRPGs of all time. One of my current favorites that I played recently, Sea of Stars, is a really, really good game. Everything described it as a love letter to Chrono Trigger, Sea of Stars, blah blah blah. So if I really loved the Sea of Stars, I'm like, well, let me check out the game that it's already, that it's like supposed to be giving honor to and everything. And then there was another game that I was looking into that right now I just cannot remember the name, but it came out around the same time as Sea of Stars. And it was considered like it was like either play this RPG or that RPG. And they were both considered like Chrono Trigger like children. So I figured just go back and play Chrono Trigger.
I play around with a few different ones. I know one of the original Final Fantasy games I was playing on the Mayu Mini that I have. And then Pokemon Emerald, if I'm not mistaken. I'm still like halfway into one of those.
That's my favorite.
Halfway into that on the little device. Yeah.
Emerald was my first.
Yeah, so because of so many titles and stuff, and I'm doing a lot of shuffling again that I don't really want to continue, I'm kind of like putting the handhelds down for the moment. But the Mayu Mini was the one that I did pick up because I had started one of those games already, or two of them on there already. So when I get more time towards the end of the summer, I will probably pick one of those back up and play it all the way through. But right now it's so much going on. Even outside of gaming, there's so much going on that I have to really pick and choose my time wisely. But let's transition real quick to the middle of the road of the show. Just to transition into some of the games we've already talked about. Some of the news of their previous titles and their franchises being free games. So Epic Games is a storefront on PC that I talk about every week because they give away free games and you don't even have to have a PC in order to play them. You just need to have a profile and you do need a PC to play them, but not to actually claim them. You can claim them probably on your phone or even a public computer at one point, until you get your own machine, and then afterwards you can, play everything that you've claimed over the years. And one of the games that they have is the Tiny Tina title, Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which was the last installment before Borderlands 4 that's coming out. I think this was a game that I actually but bought on PS5 recently. And I think I would want to play it on the PC because it'll be unlocked in all its glory. So it's cool that it's here. That is available right now until June 5th. June 5th is a big day. It's going to be a lot of games, a lot of shows, but then also the Nintendo Systems release. So June 5th should be a date to remember. Definitely go and claim this right now. If you're listening to this, pull up the website on your phone and claim it. The other game that's out right now that you can claim until June 5th also is a game called Limbo. If anybody's watched the trailers or any type of gameplay with this, you may recognize that it looks oddly similar to the franchise Little Nightmare, basically, where you're kind of this little guy running and hiding behind stuff, and there's just like this giant titan over there trying to get you and look for you. This is one of those type of games where you're kind of side scrolling left or right a little bit with 2.5D characters in front of you. And it should be a lot of fun. It's something that I might actually play during Horror Game Month, which for me will be October. So both of those games is available from now to the 5th. On the 5th, June 5th, you will see 2 other mystery release games that is going to come out, I guess, at that time. We don't know what those are, but from the last one, one of them was Tiny Tina, which is still a much more polished franchise at that point. And to get that for free is awesome. You know what I mean? We didn't have a show last week, if I'm not mistaken. I do want to mention, I wrote down some of the games we probably should have got. Deliver at All Costs, Gigapocalypse, and then Sifu was the other one I think that was like available from the last week. So if you look at this, Epic Games, Fortnite especially being powered by Epic Games. I mean, from last week you talking about Sifu, and then this week, Tiny Tina as like the bigger releases. Both of these are giving it to you for free, and then there's no obligation whatsoever. There's no hidden costs. You could play these whenever you want. There's no subscription, tied to this. Even when I brag about Game Pass in a second, there's technically a subscription tied to that. There's no subscription here, and so definitely take advantage of these things while they're available for you. Sifu you probably can't get anymore, but I wouldn't be surprised if they double dip there, because they double dip with a lot of these games anyway. I would not be surprised if that one shows back up later on this year, especially during the holiday season when they do like 16 or 17 games in a row. But was there anything you wanted to mention as far as any free games or something from another platform?
No, Amazon hasn't announced their new ones just yet. So you still have a couple of days to go grab all of May's, like 24 or 23 games. And then we'll see what the next batch is for June.
All right. Epic Games again has a mega sale that they're doing from May 15th to June 12th. So we have just 11 days pretty much in June as of this recording to take advantage of any of that. I'm trying to think of what I took advantage of before. Actually, I think I do know what it was. I bought Flintlock. I think I may have said that before. But I had bought Flintlock for a really, really cheap price, if I'm not mistaken. It is a game that's still available on Game Pass day one. And it's on there right now, but I don't think I'm going to get around to it on Game Pass. But I bought it because it was like deep discounted to $10, and then like I got it even lower to like I think $7 or something. So I don't know if it's really that bad of a game. Because I know people was comparing it to some other games in this genre, and it didn't stack up. But at the very least, $7 to $9, you can't really beat that. You can't beat that, especially when it was getting compared to like God of War and stuff at the beginning and stuff. So it's like if you're getting compared to that, and you're still considered decent, and $10, it's like what are we talking about at this point? It's like go ahead and go get it. It's a good deal. I also want to mention, I'm hoping this isn't over yet, but Sea of Stars had a DLC that was called, I believe, Throne of the Watchmaker.
Yep.
So that you can
Free
go.
deal. If I'm not, is this free? Is it free? I think it's free.
I remember it saying it was free DLC. We can
Yeah.
double check real quick.
Another game that, like, because again, Sea of Stars is a great game, and it's another one that's just like, here's for our people.
The main game was discounted. So this was some information I was going to say last week. I want to see. Definitely go take a look if it still is.
Yeah, Throws, not Throne.
Throws. Yeah, I was looking at it like that looked like what? Like did I write that down
it's
right?
not a typo. It's Throws.
But yeah, so yeah. Go check that out. Go check out Sea of Stars on the main game, which should still be discounted with the release of the free DLC, which should give you a really good deal. Go check that out. I don't think there's anything else as far as just like straightforward announcements, but I do wanted to mention the Power Ranger Rita's Rewind's physical release. Is happening at some point. I had actually bought it and forgot about it. Say it again.
It's out.
It's out. Yeah, I forgot about it, but I got a message telling me it was gonna be in the mail this Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. I had forgotten. I was like, oh. And I think I may have gotten it off Amazon or something. But that's out there if you're a big Power Ranger fan. I have already beaten the game, and I think I've shown all the footage I've had for it here. But I did go ahead and say, let me go ahead and get a physical release and double dip for a lot of his other accessories, the steelbook, the lenticular stuff. And I might actually, try it again on the console. I think I got it for PlayStation. But yeah, so that's coming in the mail. I look forward to just seeing all of his stuff. Definitely go check that out. Let me see. Any more quick news that ain't got nothing to do with anything else? Let me just look. Okay. I don't know if it's necessarily that important to everyone else, but it is kind of important to me. But I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna make this his own segment. I'm gonna write it down as his own segment, so we can jump out the news real quick. I just want to mention Lies of P. Lies of P is supposed to be a heavy hitter Souls-like game that's not from software. And it is. It technically was for a while. I have 3 titles that I call for myself are the big 3 that don't have anything to do with From Software. And it's weird to call them the big 3 because they don't really have fan bases that big yet. Maybe Lies of P has somewhat of a fan base. These are 3 titles that I plan to get during Black Friday time. Lies of P is one of them, and I wanted to have the DLC with it as well and start it at the start of the new year. Yes, I'm planning my games that far out. The second one is Stellar Blade. I don't care too much for the DLC counterparts because it's really just clothes. And I'm not concerned with the naked little NPC or what she is, the playable character. And then the third one is First Berserker Kazan, which is more new. It's not necessarily that big. It's just one of the bigger ones for me as far as the Souls games out of the games that I'm going to get for Black Friday. However, Lies of P has broke the code. They broke the code last minute. They have been polishing and balancing their game, and people have been complaining a little bit that every time they do a balancing thing, that they make it a little bit more easier, apparently. Well, after their last update, apparently, they just flat out said, we're coming out with our difficulty options. AKA, you could just put it on easy mode, which completely takes it out of the whole Souls-like thing. Now, by the time they decided to do this, pretty much everybody had played it except me. But it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like, well, that defeats the purpose of the Souls game. The Souls game is known for its difficulty. you known for having your patience and being a good Souls player, but they decided to simply take it and get rid of, well, not get rid of it. I'm pretty sure they're gonna have like because I haven't looked at it to say like this is the regular mode, but then you can change the mode. For me, I would keep it the regular mode, but if they've opened up the different like difficulty options from the very beginning, then I gotta go on the internet and be like, okay, which option was it to have it the way it was intended before? Because that's how I want to play it. But yes, it introduced the easy mode, breaking the code, I guess. How do you feel? Any thoughts on this particular news, Mr. Co-host?
I feel in between about it. So, one, that's the point of a Souls like is to be difficult. It's weird to start putting in difficulty spikes because then you have to balance everything instead of focusing on the main game. Right now you have to balance the easy. Is the easy too easy, or does the easy mode start bleeding into the other modes by accident, or things like that? With that said, I feel like the game has been out long enough that most people who are Souls players would have already gotten their hands on it. So them introducing the easy mode are just for the people who don't play Souls games, but like action adventure games, and this look interesting. So lowering the difficulty just opens it for more people to be able to play it, or more people to be willing to play it. I should say it that way. Without like, I feel like the people who would have wanted it just as a Souls like would have gotten through it already, for the most part. So, that's what it is.
I'm gonna look up launch mode. Maybe that's the thought process from my head, like launch mode. But I don't know what it'll be called. But I'm gonna look up the difficulty options that it was supposed to be. If somebody can, give the direct, like, this is what it's supposed to be.
Probably what, insane or like real Souls like or real gameplay, something like that. And then,
whatever they call it, and then I'll set my settings to that because I kind of want to play it like I would any Souls game. I wouldn't want to easy mode. You sit there and button mash and be done with it. I don't want to do that.
Now you're also assuming that they're just doing like Souls or children's game. Like there might be just a mode where it's not going to be 2 hits and you're dead, but it still might have some like challenge to it. So which is not as bad, but like that should be an easy lookup to see which one. It's not like they removed all of the Souls like components from it completely, so you should be fine.
Yeah, so that was a little disappointing. Now I do still plan to play it. I'm not gonna just abandon it. Like I said, it's one of the quote unquote big 3 for me to buy in that genre. This holiday season, maybe even before that if one of them just randomly has a deep sale. But yeah, so I was a little disappointed to hear that news, but honestly I still have to finish Black Myth, Bloodborne, and Lords of the Fallen 2. So yeah, we can move forward. I don't necessarily need to harp on that for any much longer, but I just noticed on my paper I've missed some Xbox controller information with the game Epic Games and free games and sales portion, but I'm gonna save this for the Xbox portion. I just want to like say I'm having a fantastic time with Game Pass, but with the Xbox section, I do want to mention, I guess, real quick. The Witcher 3 has its 10th anniversary thing that they're doing right now with special edition controllers for Xbox, and there's 2 different designs, and I thought they both looked pretty cool. But you can get some Xbox One X or Series X controllers that has not One X, but actually Series X controllers that have some Witcher 3 artwork all over it. Pretty dope looking controllers. And that's, I believe, available now, if I'm not mistaken. Definitely go check them out. I thought it was kind of crazy they came out with 2 of them. Usually when they do a theme or something, it's like, well, here's one special edition controller, but they got like 2 types, so definitely go check that out. Now, more somewhat important news. I don't think it's too important, but it came out that the Xbox handheld that's they're working on is about to be sidelined for a little while. For whatever reason, they got other important things they need to work on, and then they'll come back to it later. This is what the internet is saying, which is interesting to me, is that we never actually got official news from Xbox directly at all. None of them said anything about this handheld. All news has came from all these other people. And we've heard so many different things, whether it was just like it's a handheld that's going to have some Steam and Xbox on it, or their next console is going to allow you to play Steam. And that was like the selling point for the longest. And all we just know is they're working on a console that's going to do some stuff. Next thing you know, there's this leak that comes out that's like, here's the handheld is actually some rogue ally device that looks a little funny, that make it look more like it's a controller, almost like the PlayStation Portal kind of thing. And then lo and behold, we're getting some news that is being not discontinued, but just sidelined. But all of that's come from the community, and they managed to show you some prototype, which I think was real, but we never got an official word from Microsoft anyway. So I'm not really, I'm taking this news with a grain of salt, because there was no official reveal at all anyway. Like, we've seen way more of the Switch 2 before Nintendo announced the Switch 2 than we did the Xbox handheld. So I'm not too worried about it, because I got the handhelds are just through the roof already. I'm about to literally get another one in a minute. So it's like, it's not too big of a deal for me, and I already have access to both platforms in pieces, and then all the hybrid stuff in the middle. So I'm not too worried, but that is part of the news. You got any thoughts on that?
No, not really, nothing to add. I think you covered it well.
All right. Let me see. So the controllers and the handheld, Xbox handheld being sidelined. I'm about to just write this down. I'm literally time stamping as I am talking, because that makes things go quicker for me later. But the second part of this is I actually want to mention was Game Pass itself. Game Pass is really cool right now. They had a lot of releases, and I've definitely jumped into way too many games right now, but I'm going to try to mellow out on it and just try to get through the games that I'm playing. But one of the games that I did play that I'll mention here and give its flowers to was Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I have finished the title. According to Game Pass, I played it for 37 hours and 39 minutes and then some change. Fantastic game. Absolute game of the year for me. Fantastic. Yay. Fantastic. Their music is the music, like, I have some of it like playing in my head when I'm at work and stuff, just like it gets me pumped up just thinking about it. Story and everything was fantastic. It was what I really asked for. When I'm talking about like having a turn-based game or something, it didn't take too long. Nice and, I won't say short and sweet. 37 hours is 37 hours, right? But I got the job done and I was satisfied with it, and it was a big game in Game Pass. And at the same time, so much of the stuff that came out that I'm starting to play, I've decided to start Metaphor Refantasio, which I'm going to start actually the day the Switch 2 comes out. I think that's this upcoming Thursday, with all these shows coming out at the same time. I'm gonna sit there and play that game and then watch the shows at some point. As one of my main games that I'm gonna play over the next few months. I honestly feel like after Ultimate runs out for me, I'm gonna go back in and just keep on PC Game Pass because it doesn't really cost that much. I think it's like $13. Because there's just so much here, and I want to keep playing it. They announced at some point, I think last week or so, that they're bringing 50 or over 50 retro Xbox classic games to Game Pass, which I thought was pretty interesting. Power Wash 2 Simulator, which is a big deal to a whole bunch of people, came out on there on May 29th. The little game, I installed this, I think on the Rogue Ally, if I'm not mistaken, or one of these systems I got. Tales of Kinzaru or Kinzira. Tales of Kinzira Zao. That's the little the side-scrolling game that kind of looks like what's that called? Wakanda and Black Panther. It looked kind of like that. It was one of those games.
Yeah.
That actually it hit the system, or it hit the service on May 22nd. I downloaded it but didn't touch it yet. Stalker 2 was also hitting the system or hitting the service on May 22nd. But I got a chance to play Doom: The Dark Ages. That's one of the main games I'm playing. And then I'm still playing South of Midnight. I actually got a chance to play Oblivion Remastered as well. I have footage for that as well. So I'm technically playing all of that right now. So Metaphor Refantasio and Oblivion Remastered, technically Forza 5 and Forza Motorsport, Flight Simulator 2024 or 2025, one or two. It's like two different ones. Like, I'm technically playing all that right now, South of Midnight, like I just said. But the main one is the long one, Metaphor Refantasio. I'm excited to start that this upcoming Thursday. And I'm trying to run through these pocket of games through most of the summer. And then I'm going to go back and try Avowed. I might actually play some Redfall just to give it a shot, probably around Halloween time, just to see how it was. And it's just so many titles. But the game of the year, Expedition 33, absolute masterpiece. I think they had just announced at one point that the game crossed 3 million like 3,300,000 or something. It was like a 33 number. Say it again.
I thought was it players or sales? Like,
sales. I think they had the sales.
That doesn't include the people who only played it off of Game Pass. Like,
Mm-hmm.
people went and bought it as well, and it's just I'm happy for them. Like, they deserve it, 100%.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? They put in some real numbers. They did like 1 million in 3 days. You know, some of these game of the year games out here, you know, they couldn't even do that in 3 months. But we ain't gonna talk about that. We just gonna talk about Expedition 33. You know what I'm saying? They actually did it in 3 days or something. I was like, yo, the real game of the year is here, man. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying.
Move on. We've already yelled.
Hellblade 2 is coming to PS5. That's one of the games that's also in Game Pass. That would be on PS5 at some point. I can imagine. I don't know what the day was, but they announced it last week, I think, maybe something like that. Pretty cool though. Pretty cool. It's so many titles over here. So many titles, and I'm really excited. I'm really putting the pressure on PlayStation. I want to ask, where is PlayStation at? Because this is crazy. At least with Nintendo, even if you don't like the prices, they got you a list of stuff. And I'm like, yo, like, you go to PlayStation, it's like, oh, here's Days Gone again. It's already on PC. We're going to remaster it somehow. How do you even do that? I don't even know what you had did. But you remastered it somehow. Here's Last of Us like 4-5 times. We're gonna put it together and charge you over $100. Wolverine nowhere to be found. I'm like, what are we doing over there, man? I'm like, what is going on?
We know what happened. They decided to say we were gonna focus on 10 different live service games, so they had everyone working only on live service games. Then they canceled all their live service games, so now no one has anything. Like that's the issue is they had to fire everybody. Live service wasn't working because we all said don't do it. We were like focus on the single player stuff, and they were like nah. And then they just canceled a lot of the single player stuff to be like we're gonna focus on live service. So now everybody's been working on live service. Now those are canceled. So now they got 2 years of just work that just didn't amount to anything and is down the drain. So they have nothing to show off. Like that's the issue. Is it's their fault. They have nothing to show because they focused on the wrong stuff.
Put a fork in them, man. Let me give a shout out to the systems that provide you games. 1 being Xbox, 2 being Nintendo, 3 being the Playdate. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need nothing else.
Almost this time last year, it was the other way around.
You don't need nothing else. That's all the systems that you need.
Okay.
And then you got full access. We've been talking handhelds this whole time. We've talking consoles and services this whole time. You don't even need no PlayStation. You don't even need them. You got all the. We got the Playdate. We got Xbox. We got GamePass, and we got the Switch 2. That's all you need. What else? There's nothing else that's needed. Go ahead and tell us about this trash that they called the PlayStation Plus games that's coming out. I was looking at like, what are we doing, bro? What's going on, bro? What is going on?
They always give basketball.
Is going basketball in June? All right, okay, that's fine.
The finals. It's because the finals. They're like they're about. It's like a week away or something.
It's because PlayStation is on their final leg.
Okay.
I don't know what has happened, but the final summer of PlayStation, they couldn't even show up. We got every game. Everybody that came out with a game show. I ain't heard of like half of these people. Where's the PlayStation game show? Where's the game show, man? I'm just saying.
They never do. They should. They don't. They might as well do.
Where is the? At least at least with Nintendo, it's like okay, they dropped in like an overly expensive system or something. It's like okay, they made up for it a little bit, kinda. It's like where is PlayStation?
Since when do you defend Nintendo?
I ain't defend. I'm just saying at
You're
least.
You're just arguing at least. Nintendo
at least they did something. That's all I'm saying. At least they're doing something.
They didn't up prices yet.
They're not doing anything.
About it. They didn't learn doing it again because
they got their what do you call it? Days of play. So they've said that they're going to give you a small sale on some hardware and some software. You can go look at some of the retailers, not all of them, but Best Buy I think is participating. Amazon has capitalized, and then PlayStation Direct, their actual direct website, is where you could order some of this hardware and stuff. I went to Walmart and took advantage of one of the sales. I did finally buy Astrobot. Astrobot has now made 1,000,001 sale in 4 or 5 months or something like that. They've made one extra sale. I went and bought the game. Maybe we can say, hey, they've crossed over 1 million. It's not just at 1 million anymore. They crossed over it. I bought the game. I bought the game. The game on a discount from one of our Walmarts. So I have it here. I haven't actually played it. I'll probably play it during Christmas. But I have it. Are you going to take advantage of the Day of Plays sales? Are you taking advantage of it?
I got everything I want.
You got about you. I'm telling you, man. If you don't take advantage right now,
I'll have to see what's on sale. If it's in my list of Black Friday stuff. And it's on sale like 20 or less, I'll buy it.
Ain't nothing under 20 or less. But at least they dropped some stuff like $10 is what I've seen.
That's nice.
If
it has to be something I really, really, really like want. I doubt there's not that many games currently that I'm like itching to grab. Like Oblivion, I really wanted. Maybe I'll pick up Clair Obscur if it drops, but other than that, not really. Because like one of the other main games I want is the Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. but I want some sort of, hey, here's like at least the majority DLC character pack. Like I'm not trying to sit here and buy
Well,
all these
that's
little
that and Claire is third
ways away.
party because they're what I mean by the PlayStation thing. They're talking about only first party stuff, so
Oh, I
they're
have all the
not
first party stuff that I want from them.
they're not
I don't
doing any.
like.
Yeah, they're it's just literally their head, their
I might get another.
controllers, the
I was gonna say I might get
plates.
another controller, but
Yeah.
other than that, like, no, there's not much. Yeah, I might get another controller.
Now, for
Um,
anybody who wants to strike, you should strike right now. Is for the controllers, especially if you want or was on the fence about the DualSense Edge controller. The DualSense Edge controller, I believe, is like $169.99. That one was the one that they upped the price on, or they didn't up it yet, but they have it set at like $200 if I'm not mistaken. So they dropped that about $30. I don't think that ever goes on sale that much lower than that. So I would definitely jump on that if you really want it. I was hot and cold on it. It's the same color as the other controllers that I have. Either you get the white one or the black one. I have the white and the black of the regular controllers, and I'm not really playing competitively at all. So it's not that much of a big deal for me. So I'm probably not gonna do it. Plus, one thing I always hear about those type of controllers, they say once you play some of the, well, at least on the Xbox side, if you play the Elite controller, it's hard to go back to the regular ones. And like, what I don't want to waste the other ones, and I actually have a good time with those as well.
right.
But yes, definitely hop on it right now. I think they said the last day is like June 12th. I don't think you should wait past June 12th or to June 12th. Do it like by like June 8th or 9th. Get it, secure it, because you don't know if they might sell out, because that's the whole thing in itself as well. Um, yeah. Did you want to tell us about Dragon Age, the developers for Dragon Age? What's going on with this game? What's happening?
All right. So as you know, I'm a Dragon Age fan, like of the lore and all of that stuff in the games. Well,
Sorry to hear
um,
that.
the dev, thank you. One of the devs and one of the stars of the game, both were devastated and blamed a lot of the backlash on just people wanted to see BioWare fail, and that's a common thing they always say is like whenever the games do bad under BioWare, they're always like, well, it's because they wanted them to fail. These aren't like actual people who want to play the game. They complained before it even came out because they just don't want to see us succeed, and it's sad. And I thought that was ridiculous when I saw it because I was just like, so you drop a game with like objectively, it's not even like an opinion. Objectively, worse graphics, worse gameplay, worse dialogue, worse mechanics. It didn't follow some of the old stuff. A worse protagonist, worse ending, broke some of the lore. Had some better combat gameplay. That was pretty fun. But combat gameplay was the only thing I think was an improvement, and even then, that one's subjective because some people may have preferred the way the other ones played. And they did to shrink the party from 4 to 3 and kind of changed up some of the dynamics of controlling everyone on the field. So it went a lot more management and they went at each. So again, that one's super subjective, but
Mm-hmm.
every other part of the game that is objective is worse considerably from the previous ones. And it was known that it was worse. And then when people played it, they were like, it's worse. And then they were just like, oh no, the game failed because of the backlash. And it's like, well, it was given away for free and people still didn't play it. Like, I
Yeah.
played it and like, it was like, it was fine. Like, I can give it a fine at best. I do think some people over complained about it, but I think every criticism was justified with the game, if that makes sense. I do think people went a little far, but I think every base complaint was like, nope, that's fair. Like that is accurate. Um, and to so for them to just say people just did this because they just don't like Bioware, it's like, nah, they did this because you all made the game worse, and this was a franchise that people really do care about.
Yeah. I think that franchise is pretty much done at this
Yeah,
point.
it is, and it sucks. It kind of sucks that it's. I'm like, I did jump into Inquisition, and then I got like all of the previous stuff kind of lore dumped on me, and I plan on going back and playing the first two as well still. But I just know that it was like a big deal, big lore. It was basically like your I don't want to say Elder Scrolls alternative, but basic kinda like it was its own world, lots of lore, like lots of just like fun, compelling characters. Like I loved Inquisition. I put 125 hours into that game. Um, like it's trying to do everything. Like it's a great game. And then there's people who, if you started with the original one, like your characters move up through decisions you made, like impact the next game. Some of the minor stuff in the background are all completely impacted by what you did in previous games. So it was like a world that you got lost in, and then for 4, they were just like, yeah, scrap all that. It's their own fault. And then they try to also blame EA. It was like, well, EA just they didn't like Dragon Age and just never gave it a chance. They only cared about Mass Effect. And the fans, they never gave it. Like they're outward blaming everything, but they never once was like, well, yeah, we also didn't do a great job.
Yeah.
Or we could have done this better. It's everyone else's fault that Veilguard failed. And it's like, nope, it's not. Really not.
So that game, technically, it was given away. It was given away on Epic, wasn't it? Am I not
Epic
mistaken?
and PlayStation. I believe it was given away for Epic. It was for sure given away for PlayStation.
Yeah, it was. No, I don't think it was given away on Epic. I know PlayStation made it a PS Plus game at one point. I've seen it with like probably the deepest sale it can have right away. But yeah, I guess it is what it is. It just didn't do it. It had its controversies and stuff. People made their choice. They didn't. I honestly think it reminds me of the game shows. It was also thrown in there with so many different titles at one time, and obviously when people have to make a choice, they're going to choose the game they want to play the most, and that was not one of the games they wanted to play the most. And I think it also was the last game to be released out of like 7 or 8 big titles all at the same time, which included Metaphor ReFantazio, which also included Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So it's like, it had to compete basically. And I honestly think even with like these gaming shows, like there's going to be plenty of games on there that's going to have to compete with all the other ones, and it's going to get thrown by the wayside too. It was a victim, in my opinion, of having too much stuff at a certain amount of time. It needs to be spread out a little bit. I can admit, even with Game Pass, it's very overwhelming to have all those hot titles just releasing all at once. I think with that particular game, it would have benefited coming out the very next year, somewhere in the summertime, way away from everything else.
Yeah.
It should not have come out, I think, in that hot month in October like that. Too many companies keep trying to have that holiday release. I don't know what it is about this statistic that everybody got that makes people think, oh, people want to buy stuff because it's the holiday. They buy sales during the holiday. They don't buy new stuff during the holiday like that. I don't know why they keep getting that wrong, but they get it wrong every year, and then franchises have to suffer because of it. But it is what it is on that. Yeah, it is what it is. Anything else you want to say about that?
Nope.
All right. I have a few other more things. I'm just trying to think by importance what should come first. Elden Ring. Let's speak on Elden Ring, NightReign. Elden Ring, NightReign. So, the game just came out. I've seen a few different details on it. I'm hearing people say it needs to get a little bit more polish. And the whole 2-player co-op has been addressed. It's funny because the developers themselves are actually starting to say, okay, we're thinking about putting in that mode, and then also designing the game around that mode as well to have that option. Because right now, if you come in there with 3 people and one person drops for whatever reason, well, now the other 2 have to fight a 3 people load. Basically, it doesn't make the game easier, but technically somebody can drop out and then it's just harder, basically.
Yeah. And because it's matchmaking, right? You always like you jump in and then all of a sudden you get a person who like is bad, or like a person who doesn't like, they're not even like trying to help and they just want to troll or things like that. Or you end up getting with the person who like is stronger than everybody and just kind of beats the whole thing and you don't really even get to experience it. Right? So it's just like, if you wanted to play it just 2-player, if you had one other person with you and you wanted to play because you're on mic with just that person, and they're like, nah, you got 1, you got 3. And it's, I think the reason why I wrote it down as a topic is I just thought it was crazy that they were just like, it's something that we'll, you know, potentially put in a future patch that we'll think about. And then just some modder was like, all right, done. Like the next day, it's just like, done. You can play 2-player now.
Yeah, I do think that demand for that is going to be very high, because Elden Ring is already a very, very popular title right now. So I do anticipate the official one to come out at some point. And then this game will probably have its polish at some point. But let's really be honest. It was just like a concept mode within the game, the other game, just plucked into its own thing, just for them to get. This was their cash grab, is basically what I'm saying. It was basically their cash grab, a little bit.
It was a cash grab, and then also it's the fact, I think it's also crazy that From Software keeps just making co-op difficult. Right? Like from the original ones, like you had to go through this whole process of getting co-op. Then they're like, don't worry, we're releasing a co-op game, even though it is a cash grab. But then when they released the co-op game, they somehow, like, how do you completely ignore 2-player? Like, how do you go 1, 3? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think they were trying to be different enough, but I think they probably didn't really think about it long term wise, because I don't think it's that easy to get 3 people to come together and say we're going to do a co-op full all the way through. It's easier to say 2 people to agree to that, but the third person, there's at some point there's got to be a scheduling conflict. It has to come up, and it will come up enough times that if you tried to do 3-player, even 4-player with some of these other games, like, you won't get all 4 people there at the same time. People are going to definitely drop in and out. It's just going to always happen.
For Souls-like games, there's too much coordination that needs to happen to like confidently just be like, it's fine with matchmaking. Right? Like,
I know
too much coordination.
When people come together to play Destiny, like, they had to really plan that out. Like, I've always heard and seen that people was scouting out, talking about, I'm looking for a dedicated team. It's almost like they was trying to do a job interview. It's like, wow, we need you here, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you had to really commit to being a Destiny player. And people did do it over time, but you had to really do it. And so now this game is going to ask you to do the same thing. And I don't know if people are really that willing to do it with this title. They'll be willing to drop in and out of the original Elden Ring because you just have your own world. But this, it's like a requirement. And I don't know if people are really willing to do that much for a full 3 people. So I'm definitely hoping that they get the official 2-player on there. So at the very least, the console side can have that as well. Because I look forward to playing it once it's actually fully polished and everything. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't this a $50 game though? It's not really that expensive, right?
Yeah. No.
50. And then they have one other element that I'm not really that big of a fan of, and I think it's that you're on a time limit. Like, you have to finish the world within a certain amount of time, and the world is like shrinking or whatever. It's interesting. Hopefully it's good. I just don't care too much to be like told I got to get this done immediately. But yeah, I still look forward to it. I want to see what happens with it once they really polish and balance it the way it needs to be.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, if you want a preview of how we're going to handle these gaming shows, we got one that we can talk about very briefly. It was called the 6-1 Indie Showcase. I don't know where they came up with this name as far as the 6-1, what it's supposed to stand for or be about. but it was an indie showcase that showed a bunch of like indie games. Little weirdness going on. They started off with some dude that was supposed to be a pigeon. The Pigeon Man is what I was calling him to start the show. He was talking about a bunch of stuff. And then they just had a whole bunch of games. For me, I remember writing it down. This was an hour plus if you include the police show, but it was a whole lot of trash. That's what I wrote. No offense. No offense. It was a whole lot of trash there. Overall, what do you think? Was it was it a lot of trash, or am I overdoing it? Am I doing too much?
No, there was like 6 games that were like, okay, like I wrote 6 down, and out of those 6, I still don't even think I'd get any of them. But like I was trying to see which ones it was more which ones do I like more than the others, not necessarily like, ooh, this game looks fun, let me hurry up and wishlist that. It was like, okay, like. Matter of fact, actually, it's not even 6. It was 5. There was one of them I only wrote down just because the narration caught me off guard. So out of the whole thing, there was 5 that were like, this looks okay.
All right, I could say real quick before we get into it, they mentioned they're going to have a second show that's going to be in September. And then they even said they're going to have an award show that's going to be in December. I would like to, I'm going to try to keep up with them as much as I can, so that I can, watch it. But as far as this particular show, I had one game that I said I would actually play, or at least wishlist. It was called Scratch the Cat, which is a platformer. And it was just a nice, colorful cat game where the dude was platforming all over the place. That was it. I was like, you know what? It's wholesome. It's probably quick. I'll put that on my list. Outside of that, I had nothing else. I'm gonna be honest. I had nothing else. There was one game that I think was called Anytime or something that I just thought had fantastic music, very 8-bit-ish music that I thought was fun. I put music is great, but no, that's what I put. And then one other game that I can put for myself that I thought was hilarious, but I still don't want to play it. It's called Dino Blade, where they literally had dinosaurs with a sword in his mouth.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious, but I don't really want to play that either. But that's all I had. Tell me what you got, man. What did you think about this show?
So first, 2 things that caught me off guard. In the pre-show, there was a game called Equinox Homecoming, where it started off with just people riding horses, and it was like very old school looking. It was one of those games where it's on purpose lacking detail, so like the face wasn't like fully detailed and things like that. But it was just people riding horses, and out of narration, they're just like, yeah, we always love riding horses in this small town. And then all of a sudden, the teenagers started dying. And it was like, what? And then out of nowhere, it's now just some murder mystery where you ride horses. So it was extra random. Then also, when the show started, the show was doing like, I guess, a charity and raising money for, or recognition for lupus.
Mm-hmm.
But the way the host said it sounded like the show was going to cure lupus. Like, it was just his wording. When he said it was just like, yeah, and then midway through the show, we're going to talk about how we stopped lupus or something like that. I was like, oh, all right, good job to you guys. But what they meant was like, they're raising money for it.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, the 5 games that kind of caught my attention, Lonely Mountain Snow Riders, again in the pre-show. It was just your simple ski racing game. There's a bunch of people, you're racing, and you're on skis. Shadow of the Chroma Tower. It was a roguelike, one of those roguelike games where it's just horde fighting. The only thing is everything was almost nauseatingly colorful. So that's what kind of held me back on it as well. Like, it looked like your normal, just like fast-paced shooter, but it just seems like the colors are also there to throw you off. So I don't know. The one that I would say, if I'm gonna wish list one of these, it would be this one, Scaravan 66. It's a racing game, but you're also like in like your monsters, and you're using power-ups in your monster to hit other people as well. So it's almost like a mix of Mario Kart and Twisted Metal, but you're like monsters. So like vampire, Frankenstein, things like that. Rogue Eclipse is your normal, like you're a spaceship and just shooting at other spaceships. And then the one that I want to know more of, because it's on Kickstarter, Battle Versus. It's a tabletop faction fighter. I don't know if it's a video game, or if it's a straight up tabletop game. Um, but I like tabletop games, so it might be a video game that simulates one, where it's basically you pick like your, almost like it's like the Vikings or something like. It looks like you have a team of fighters, and you're trying to like tabletop simulate beat the other fighters. So I guess I'll look into it to see, because if it's a tabletop game, that's an easy buy, and just one game night with friends and try it out. If it's a video game, I'll look more into it. But the Scaravan game seemed okay. The rest was like this.
All right. Well, as a show from 1 to 10, what would you give it?
3. I will say I don't want to be like 1 or 2, only because I feel like maybe it's just games that I wasn't into. Maybe other people are into the stuff that they showed. So maybe 3 or 4.
It's a 2 because they put a pigeon man on there, and I don't like birds.
Oh, that's right, you don't like birds.
There you go. It's a 2. They had one game on there for me. That's it. I will be playing that game, though. I will admit. Because usually when I wishlist something on Steam, every month there's usually a game that dips below $5, and I don't even hesitate once it does that. If this game is one of those games that's going to do that, I will not hesitate when that time comes. I'm not pressed to play it. It's just a game that I thought was interesting from that show. I think that's all I got for you here. One thing I wanted to mention that's not game related. The Jurassic World Rebirth trailer had came out. I thought it was a pretty cool trailer. The show or the movie will be in theaters July 2nd. That will be probably the first movie that I see in theaters in probably over a year. But I do think I want to go see it. If you want a link where we can see it together, that's fine. I just think we probably should do it after July 4th. Mm-hmm. But I think that's it. I don't have nothing else. Anything else you wanted to mention before we get up out of this?
The Nyxi controller for the Switch came in. I tried it out a little bit. It is vastly better than
you like that one. Talk
yeah.
about it real quick, because I actually have that in the notes from last week.
Yeah,
and
first things first, it does not hurt the hands after like extended use. Like that whole with this Joy-Cons being so flat, it's very easy. My hands start cramping up if I'm in handheld mode. But for this thing, everything was responsive, quick. The little RGB lights are nice to look at, and they're just bigger. Everything just feels more comfortable in my hand when using it. And then of course there's like no Joy-Con drift at all. I played out like one that was like turn-based, and then like the Power Rangers Battle for the Grid to see how responsive it would be with like fighting and stuff, and it works wonderfully. This thing is very solid to use, charges quickly. But I think the biggest thing for me it was not even like before even hooking it to the Switch, just picking them up to just like grab them for a second. It's like immediate. You can feel how much like better they are for the hands.
Yeah, I wish they came out with it during 2020 season. It's not too late for anybody who is not jumping into the next Switch yet. This is a much vastly improved set of Joy-Cons, because with the joysticks alone, you get some proper joysticks. And then it has its little back buttons as well if you wanted to do some competitive type stuff on here. Maybe if you wanted to do it with Splatoon, it has back buttons, it has a turbo button. And so you can really get some good gameplay with it. I gave my impressions before, but I did go through and play through all of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, like all the tracks, the main tracks at least, with this handheld. And it played very well. That game, outside of Claire, technically Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I technically beat it because I rolled credits going through the tracks with this. And I thought the tracks was very, I thought it was really relaxing and good to play. The gyro moves and stuff was very responsive and everything. And so these are some really good Joy-Cons. I know they have some Joy-Cons that are like these that are like half the price at like that you might be able to find at a Walmart or stuff, like the Hori pads, but you're gonna lose a lot of features. Most notable is the actual the rumble features, the gyro features, stuff like that. Where with this, you have pretty much all the same features except for the little amiibo. That's like the only thing, and you could probably put, you know, your other Joy-Cons on real quick, do the amiibo thing, and then just go right back to the other Joy-Con, because it's just that much better. But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. You got the middle pieces, so I'll probably speak on the middle piece once I put it together. But did you try it that way?
Not yet. So that I still have to do. I
Okay.
didn't try that yet, but I did. Like I held it in my hand, like without actually playing a game yet.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it was just right away. You can feel how much just better it feels. It feels like they it looks like that they were just like, all right, how does this fit better in the hand versus how do we just make something? But I'll be able to test it out on a game soon.
Yeah, and I know like when you put the middle piece on there, it has a different measurement. I can tell from the case that it's going to be a unique type controller in itself.
Hmm.
Just to play it that way, probably with an entire game all the way through. That's what I want to do. So yeah, gaming in itself, there's so many different ways to play, and it's very exciting to play everything in every way. And so this is another set of controllers that you can amplify another machine, and so I definitely highly recommend it. Get it while it lasts because this company isn't that well known. They're more popular because of the GameCube controllers that were turned into Joy-Cons, and I don't think any other company was doing it when that first, like when they first started that. So, yeah, that's all I got. Like I said, we'll return in about 2 weeks with our take on every show and possible some gaming news. There's always going to be gaming news in 2 weeks. So we'll tell you all about that. And other than that, like, comment, share, subscribe. I will catch you then. Peace.